welcome to Razz Reviews. Today I'm going to be reviewing War for the Planet of the Apes. This movie is the third installment in the rebooted Planet of the Apes franchise, and it concludes the story of Caesar and his apes who are forced into a brutal battle against a ruthless colonel played by Woody Harrelson. I'm personally a big fan of the new Planet of the Apes movies, and this movie is no exception to this trend. This film is amazing, and it added so much to its previous films, and it concluded the trilogy in such a beautiful way, and I believe that this is one of the best trilogies made, especially in the sci-fi genre. It's hard to tell now, but I think this trilogy and this film in particular is going to end up being a classic, because it had that old-timey film feel to it. I felt like I was watching an old movie, not a film that was made in 2017. And I also felt it had a deep connection to the 1968 Planet of the Apes, which I love. There's nothing like a good story told well, and this is what this film is. What a beautiful, emotional, fantastic film. I cannot wait to tell you about the top 3 things that I liked about War for the Planet of the Apes. Number 3, the visuals. What a beautiful looking film. The cinematography is just incredible. Again, it really felt like classic cinema. These big wide shots and these beautiful landscapes. It was just incredible. And also there was a lot of nice camera movements and long takes that really looked amazing. It was just absolutely gorgeous to look at. Just complete eye candy. It was one of my favorite pieces of cinematography this entire year so far. There are moments in this film that I can literally screenshot, print, and put on my wall as art. I think it was beautifully, beautifully shot. And the CGI, of course, was incredible, and this has been consistent throughout these films. The motion capture technology here is at its best, maybe the best ever put on film. I do not think the people on the screen are human beings in suits. 2 seconds into the film, you completely forget that these are not real apes, and it really helped you get immersed into the film and be connected to all the characters. The number 2 thing I liked about War for the Planet of the Apes was the emotions. This is a very, very emotional film. Prepare yourself for a lot of feels. I was so overwhelmed with emotions watching this film, partially because I'm so connected to the character of Caesar throughout the films, and at the same time, this film does such a great job at portraying moments of high emotion without much. Just a little bit of music and a little bit of motion, and that's it, and you get the emotion and you completely feel it. Partially due to the writing and to the directing, there are a lot of emotional nuances that these characters have when they take actions. It's not just a person climbing a tree or somebody fighting somebody else. There are moments when they're making their decisions that you feel like there's so much subtext and so much emotion beneath what they are doing, and it just makes it so powerful. It's also partially due to the incredible performance given by the lead actors of the film. I cannot speak enough about Andy Serkis as Caesar in all the films, and especially this one. This film, Caesar is at his lowest point. They are desperate. I'm so upset that this guy has not gotten an Oscar yet. If there is somebody who should get an Oscar for motion capture performance, it's Andy Serkis, and especially for War of the Planet of the Apes. Oh my god, I can sit here and talk for hours about this, but I won't. But I can. Like, I also don't want to talk too much because I got very emotional and overwhelmed, and I actually cried a lot in the movie, and I don't want to get emotional here. And it wasn't just Andy Serkis, everybody brought their A game. I love Maurice's character, he's one of my favorite apes, and this was such a beautiful performance by, what's her name? Karin Konoval. I don't know what else she's done, but in this, she is incredible. Also, a nice addition to the film was Zahn. I love this character. I don't want to reveal too much about him, but I just loved him in the film, and he really worked for me. And of course, Woody Harrelson actually gave a great performance, but this film does not focus on the humans. This film keeps the story contained to the apes, and I actually like that, because in previous films, one of my gripes with them was that they focused on the humans sometimes, and I felt that the humans were the weak aspect of those films, and I always felt myself wanting to go back to Caesar's story. So in this film, they really kept it on that, and it's what made it actually feel like a better film than the other ones even. The number 1 thing I liked about War for the Planet of the Apes was the story. What more can you say? A great story is a great story, and this film had a wonderful story to follow. It was gripping, and it was such a great capper for the entire trilogy. Not only did the film have a great character arc and a lot of unpredictable moments, but also it actually felt like it concluded the arc of Caesar from the first and the second film. So it gave me such a satisfactory ending and resolution to the series. And it reminded me a lot of Return of the King, which gave me the same feeling, except Return of the King gave it to me 8 times and 8 different endings in the same film. Here the story concluded so well, and it was so powerful, and it actually did a great service to the previous films, and and made them better in hindsight, and that's the best thing you can get from a third film in a trilogy. And what elevates this film and makes it such a wonderful piece of work is the philosophy and the themes that are behind it. I mean, it's clear that most of these science fiction films and the Apes films are a study of humanity itself. They serve as mirrors to see ourselves and how we are at heart. And also through that mirror, we see how dark humanity can get and how incredibly cruel we can be. There's a lot that's good about this movie and I can talk about it forever, but I have to talk about things that I didn't like because no movie is perfect. But I actually had trouble finding things, so I'm gonna get super nitpicky for this one as I tell you about the top 3 things I didn't like about War for the Planet of the Apes. Number 3, it's a heavy film. Now, I like me some drama, but sometimes heavy films that take a toll on you emotionally can be difficult to watch or rewatch even. And this movie is definitely that. If you want a carefree, face popcorn, fun times at the cinema, this movie is not it, because you will sit there and you'll be like, and sometimes those films are more powerful and stronger as pieces of cinema, but at the same time, they can be a little bit too heavy for you to watch and watch over and over again. This is not really a negative thing, but again, I'm really nitpicking here. Number 2, the name of the movie. The title of this film is actually something that I kind of didn't like because I felt that the word war didn't apply as well to this film as the other titles did, like Rise and Dawn. It was called War, but it gave me the impression like this film is gonna be all battle sequences and heavy action. You guys gotta be ready. This movie is not action-packed. It has some really nice action set pieces, but it's not as big and epic as it sounds like it's gonna be because it's heavier on the drama side. And the drama is incredible. So I wasn't disappointed, but it wasn't what I expected because of the title. So I feel like the title should be something else. The feels for the Planet of the Apes, the emotional connections of the planets of the apes.
Survival of the planet.
That's good. The survival of the Planet of the Apes. Even the beginning of the Planet of the Apes would be nice. Ooh, that's a nice name. Because it says the end and the beginning of the Planet of the Apes. The number 1 thing I didn't like about War for the Planet of the Apes was the pacing. One of the things that made this film feel like an old-timey movie was actually that it was very long and it was sometimes slow at certain points. And at some point, I really felt like the film was long. Like I was like, wow, it's still going. Okay, here we go. So that's like maybe the one thing I would want to change. I would have wanted it to be just a tiny bit faster, but also felt the classic kind of pacing like Shawshank Redemption or The Godfather even. These films took their time and they were a slow burn, and this is that as well. Now, this is not to say that any of the slow bits were a waste of time. Every single scene had meaning and it contributed very nicely to the story and the characters. But many people might not feel comfortable or used to this kind of slow burn, especially since the film is so heavy and emotional. You actually feel exhausted at the end of it. All in all, War for the Planet of the Apes was not a disappointment. I loved it so much. And this is one of the greatest parts of watching film, is when the movie stays with you for days and days after you watch it. And I think War for the Planet of the Apes is gonna do that for me and for a lot of people who watch it as well. And I think this film is definitely gonna be remembered, and it might actually be a classic in the future. And for that reason, I'm gonna give War for the Planet of the Apes a 9.5 out of 10. So, are you a fan of the Planet of the Apes series? Are you a fan of this rebooted trilogy? Did you watch the film? What did you think? What do you think it should be called if you agree with me that it shouldn't be War for the Planet of the Apes? Let me know in the comment section, and as always, like, share, and subscribe, and don't forget to tell me what you'd like me to review for you next. See ya!